It's a Purple Friday inside the vault. And what better way, Sarah, to celebrate week 2 going into the weekend than a giveaway? We'll tell you about that in just a second. Welcome inside the vault on this Friday. It is the 12th of September. I am Bobby Trossett. This is Sarah Ellison, and it's brought to you by thevaultpod.com/shop, where today, Sarah, we will randomly draw a winner at the end of the show for anyone that leaves a comment with the hashtag vault attached to it. We're going to let you pick a t-shirt of your choosing to celebrate Purple Friday. Now, we're wearing black today, all right? And it's not a primetime weekend, so I'm not sure why we're wearing black, but at least you have some sort of symbolic nature behind your hat. Meanwhile, this is like my Ah Jong Loop in Vietnam shirt over here. But anyway, what are you going to do? So glad you guys can be with us on this Friday. If you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership like so many of you already have on what is always, Sarah, a generous Friday. Before we even get into the rundown, being that it is Friday, the team's taking the field as we speak for practice. Jeff Zrebiec and other beat reporters noting the following in terms of attendance. Pat Ricard is not seen as of right now, nor is wide receiver Rashad Bateman. Sarah, one of the two would be a surprise if he can't go on Sunday, and that would be Bateman. Ricard would not, given the calf. He has not practiced since mid-August. As for Isaiah Likely, who's ramping back up from that foot fracture and the procedure that followed, Jeff said that he was in uniform doing a workout in front of members of the athletic training and medical staffs. He definitely upped his activity level. He will not play on Sunday, but perhaps getting closer to a return. Your reaction to that before we share the rundown?
Yeah, so that's good news for Isaiah Likely. Obviously, that won't put him in play for this Sunday, but just having him back out there. And I'm guessing we'll wait to see until we see the official injury report. I think that counts as a return to practice because he's actually in uniform, not off to the side somewhere. Jonas Schaefer talked a little bit about it. He said that he looked good blocking and running his routes. So just some insight there. And it sounded like he worked with trainers for about 20 minutes, again, running routes and hitting block sleds. So certainly an encouraging sign for him. Definitely not going to be ready for the Browns, but he'll be in play next week for the Detroit Lions on Monday night.
Yeah, and I thought I had seen an Instagram story of his that he reposted. And, of course, maybe it's just been 24 hours. But for Zay Flowers' birthday yesterday,
yeah,
he essentially wished him a happy birthday. And I thought there was like some sort of caption like, hey, we're going to be back at this soon. So all the suggestions, all the trails, right, these patterns are leading towards potentially an imminent return in the next couple of weeks for one Isaiah Likely and a big-time playmaker for the Ravens. In terms of today's rundown, Sarah, it's a jam-packed show. Is all this chatter coming from Cleveland a sign of desperation with the way that some Browns players have chosen to handle their media availabilities this week? We'll talk about that and also share with you how the Ravens have handled that as a counter side of things. Kyle Hamilton gave his own spin on some of the Ravens' woes in that week 1 loss to the Bills, and slightly different wording, let's call it, than Marlon Humphrey chose to use. We'll share what that's all about. Zack Jackson from The Athletic dropped by. We recorded our game preview episode that'll be dropping at 4 o'clock Eastern today, earlier this morning. We'll give you a couple little tidbits and a tease on that. Zack was really good and actually very funny. And other than that, there's just a boatload of quick hits, some nitty-gritty football content to get to, and of course, our predictions attached as well. So, shall we?
Yeah, these guys at The Athletic, some of these beat reporters are extremely busy, and the Browns have their media availability during the airing of the show. So it was very nice of Zach. He's like the Jeff Zrebiec for the Browns, right, over at The Athletic, and he found time this morning to record with us. So we will have a clip on that. But one of the keys to the game, obviously, was the Browns wanting to slow the Ravens run game with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, and they actually have the talent to do it more than other teams. So that's why I'm channeling my angry runs with Derrick Henry today. We know the Browns are going to sell out. We know they have the personnel for it, but Derrick Henry is going to have to come hard, and they're acting like it's not hard to tackle him. So let's get angry and let's make him pay for that.
Yeah, what I've done, okay, it's one thing to hear or read, in this case, Mary Kay's transcription of what Grant Delpit had to say about tackling Derrick Henry, Sarah, right? It's one thing for that to come across the timeline. It's another to actually hear it, listen to it, And what I've done is put together a little bit of a montage, Sarah, from the last 48 hours or so. It begins with Grant Delpit. It then goes to Derrick Henry's business-like response. From there, it cuts ahead to Jerry Jeudy. And then Kyle Hamilton's response. Enjoy.
Not hard.
Derek, did you get a chance to see Grant Delpit? He said that you're not hard to tackle, and do you have a reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I saw his coach had a tweet, a quote, and, he had a quote. We'll see on Sunday.
Jerry, Baltimore secondary, a lot of notable names back there. Just what are the challenges that group presents to you guys as a receiver?
No challenges.
Guys say whatever they're going to say. I really don't care. That's the thing with, bulletin board material that I never understood is, was I not going to play hard before he said that? So it's I'm going to play the same way I was going to play. If you need bulletin board material to go play how you need to play, then that's a problem on you. So, I guess he's trying to get himself right for the game, and, we're doing the same thing. So, we'll see on Sunday, but we're excited to go out there.
Oh, and Femi Ayan-Badejo, member of the 2000 Super Bowl winning team. Sarah in the live chat right now, feeling like it's already game day with the comment that he just left up there. He says, dogs bark, Ravens feed on their carcasses. If that doesn't set the scene for who would have thunk it, week 2, it's Cleveland and the Ravens. Not that there isn't somewhat of a rivalry and some bad blood there and some really good, by the way, matchups over the years. Cleveland's defense gives the Ravens fits more often than not. They certainly didn't in the regular season finale, Sarah, last year, but they did in week 8, which we'll talk about in more detail throughout the show. But what I really wanted to highlight here, Sarah, from that montage, you've got one side that's talking, and they are talking a lot as if to say, we got to get up for this game a little bit. We need a little bit of extra motivation, and let's throw a little bit of extra on their bulletin board. Whereas the Ravens, whether it's Derek, whether it's Kyle, whoever, they're going a business-like approach to this, staying even keel, as if to say, we don't need any more motivation than what we already just put on tape from a defensive perspective in that second half on Sunday night.
Yeah, they're definitely throwing punches via the media toward the Ravens, like the secondary. Oh, there's no challenges there. Oh, it's not hard to tackle Derrick Henry. And look, part of me is listen, if you're a defensive player and you're asked by a journalist, hey, how hard is it to tackle Derrick Henry? I'm a grown man and I'm a paid professional here too. I'm a strong safety. What do you expect me to say? Am I supposed to come out here and be like, ooh, I'm scared of Derrick Henry? No self-respecting NFL football player would do that, although he could phrase it differently and be like, hey, got a lot of respect for Derrick. He is who he is. He's heading to Canton someday, but I don't fear that. I'm going to go in there, I'm going to stick my nose in it, and I'm going to go and tackle. So there's a part of me that's listen, this is what players are supposed to say. It's not but then there's another part of me, if you look at the Browns Twitter page, it's they're the ones playing this up. They're the ones. Okay, so they posted that clip from Grant Delpit and him saying, oh, it's not hard. They post it and say, GD is always up to make a tackle. Then they quote retweet themselves. This is the Browns official Twitter account. Quote retweet themselves and show Grant hitting Derrick Henry, which was supposed to be some sort of flex, but even their own fans were like, guys, do we have a play we could show where he didn't just gain 12 yards and a first down? And then Grant came in from Derrick Henry's blind side, and so he got a nice cheap shot. He did. He hit him hard, and I'm sure Derrick felt it, but it's that's your flex? That's your flex. And so it's there's a part of me that's well, the players are just being players and saying, hey, it's not hard. But then it's what's up with the trash talking from the Browns official Twitter account, playing it up and trying to give bulletin board material? Bobby, all this feels so much, this whole week feels like manufactured, big boy talk, from the 30th anniversary that's going to be on the game, the home opener that the Ravens will be celebrating, and all this other stuff. It just feels so manufactured to, yes, get themselves up a little bit more. And the Ravens, led by Kyle Hamilton, is what about it? Like, oh, so like, did you not think I was gonna play? Derrick Henry's like, okay, well, we'll see on Sunday. Just like it's like what Brian or Brendan Aiyemadaja just said. It's just like
Femi,
yapping.
yeah, Femi.
Femi. I just named his twin brother. It's like Femi saying it's just yapping until you get out onto the field. Like, I respect the Browns defense for sure. It's one of the best defenses in the NFL, but all this yapping means nothing until you get out on the field.
Well, again, as I pull up a screenshot from last year, this is absolutely, let me be clear, nothing to make light of, because as we learned and were reminded in our game preview episode with Zack Jackson, the hit that Derrick Henry put on Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the talented linebacker for Cleveland, as a result of the hit that he sustained here in that game last year, may never play football again. So I don't bring it up to make light of it. I bring it up to remind everybody that when the king is coming downhill at 250 plus pounds, somebody that Next Gen Stats seems to track at over 20 miles an hour at times, at 30 years old, it's going to be a hard, heart-brewed force to bring down. And so that's the only reason why I revisit this, a scary moment that resulted in Jeremiah being carted off and potentially his career being over. So again, all that we
I hope not.
I hope not too, because that dude is talented, very talented. And he's played the Ravens tough, by the way, and can compete. Not saying he's in the same athletic sphere as Lamar, but he can compete with Lamar and has competed with Lamar in the past. So, look, I totally agree with what you said at the top, and I think Femi would as well, being that he's in the live chat right now. You know, these guys are professionals, and the more I listen to Cleveland beat reporters asking these guys questions there, and I've listened to every single press conference so far on the YouTube channel of the Cleveland Browns that they've released this week. Man, they're asking questions like these guys don't belong in the same arena, some of these people. And so to your point, how do you think they're going to respond to a lot of that? After a while, it's like, listen, I'm a prideful 1% guy in this world as well. I play in a league that less than 1% of civilians, humans in this world do. And so I belong on that same field, and we beat them last year. So there is a level of pride that comes into play here. But we all know when 22 is coming downhill, look the frick out.
I'm just gonna need one of those stiff arms to Grant Delpit. Like, please. I need that in my life. I require that in my life. I would love that in my life. Meanwhile, it is interesting though, Bobby, like with Kyle Hamilton, with that clip that you played there a minute ago. It is like, I believe everything that Kyle Hamilton is here to say. I just think that different players for sure go about it differently. Sometimes these things will hype them up more, but Kyle Hamilton is not that guy. So when he says, I don't really care, like, he's like, that's what I don't understand about bulletin board material. Was I not going to play hard before he said that? If you need more bulletin board material to play, that's a problem with you, he says. And so that for sure is Kyle Hamilton's mentality. And he's always so even kill. And remember when the Ravens signed Jair Alexander, and Kyle's like, you know what? He's like, that dude has a lot of energy. He's like, it can be good for us because, you know, like, I'm not giving that type of energy. You know, he's like, so it is nice to have it. And so, like, different guys go about it in different ways. But I think for Kyle and himself, he is being 100% genuine. Like, these punches that you're trying to throw via the media is like not landing whatsoever on him.
Why am I envisioning Jerry Jeudy coming across the middle, Joe Flacco hitting him in stride, and 14 in the most technique-driven way you possibly could, laying a hit stick down for the ages? Well, I just feel like something like that, whether it's going to be Henry and Delpit in level 2, or on the opposite side, level 2, K Ham greeting Jerry early on in that game. There's going to be something that results in a highlight reel type play. And I'm telling you, I did not expect, Sarah, there to be this kind of firestorm media-wise and content-wise for us this week going into week 2. But I'm here for it. I think it's exactly what the Ravens didn't necessarily need coming off the week 1 game, because there's enough to get up for after that. But it certainly can't hurt with a lot of these emotions in play, a lot of the off-the-field bulletin board material going on, not to mention, as you've already mentioned, the 30-year anniversary and some of that stuff that's really between the lines irrelevant. But this game's got a lot of storylines, and I wouldn't have necessarily thought that a week ago.
Well, and they're both, and like, here's what's most important is that they're both angry because they both feel like they should have won their games last week.
Yeah.
And if you go and watch the preview with Zack Jackson of The Athletic, he talks about how angry, the Browns are because they feel like they should have beaten the Bengals last week. And there were some, bad interceptions that weren't even really Joe Flacco's fault and got deflected off his wide receiver's hands. And then the Ravens feel the same way. They dominated for 3.75 quarters of that game in Buffalo, and then they lost it. And so both of these teams feel like they want to prove that they're better than their 0-1 start and kind of save face and start to turn around their season. The only problem is one of these teams who thinks that they're better than their record shows is going to become 0-2, and one is going to be 1-1.
There you go. Appreciate you guys for being with us on this Purple Friday. We will continue to direct you to the live chat that's currently in the YouTube space. If you're on Twitter, encourage you to hop on over so you can participate in today's giveaway. If you leave a comment for us with the hashtag Vault, that is VAULT, hashtag VAULT. At the end of the show, we are going to draw a winner totally randomly, and a t-shirt of your choosing will be available at no charge on the vaultpod.com/shop, a way of celebrating today's second Purple Friday of the season. Sarah, the other part of within, I don't know, maybe the last 24 hours or so was Kyle Hamilton's response in terms of Childs Walker from The Sun asked him if he thought that Marlon Humphrey's comments about maturity level or lack thereof related to this defense and their week 1 performance were fair. Kyle's response as follows, courtesy of Ravens Productions, and we'll revisit Marlon's comments just in case you haven't heard them yet.
Used the word immature yesterday to describe the way that you guys handled the situation on Sunday. Do you think that's a fair critique?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he has his own perspective, but I think it was a little bit of more so lackadaisical than immature. I think it's just the little stuff, like the way we're taking the field. We might have wanted the offense to drain the clock out with 8 minutes left, but not how the game flowed. We still got an opportunity to go out there and give them the ball back. Like, I said it this whole week, like, they should not score 40 points and be trying to fight for the game at the end of the game. Like, in the National Football League, your offense puts up 40 points, you should be winning the game handily. So, props to them. They did a great job, and I think we did for the majority of the game. It's just we just got to close it out, and that's where I think we were a little lackadaisical in that.
And as for a condensed version of Marlon's comments, Sarah, from earlier this week in a media scrum, this is what that sounded like.
It goes kind of to what Harb's addressed in the team meeting. He said, we're just not mature enough as a team yet. I think it's very clear we got great players on both sides of the ball, but defensively, we have to work on our maturity too. Doesn't matter what our offense is doing. Doesn't matter what Lamar, like, we have to go out there and win the game.
How do you gain that? Because, I mean, you guys, a lot of veteran guys that have been around here several years. How do you make that happen?
I think everyone wants to make a play. I think that's the biggest thing. I want to make a play. I want to make a play. I want to bank a play. Do your job, and if a play comes to you, it comes to you. You don't go out, I'm trying to make a play and then do my job. And I think that's the biggest thing. We all got to. It's so crazy how I get beat, but the pass rush helped me out, so it's a bad throw by Josh. And then when it doesn't work like that, the pass rush doesn't help, the coverage doesn't help. The coverage doesn't help, the pass rush doesn't help. It's just so key to how it all works together. And I think that's the biggest thing is do your job, and if a play comes to you to make it. And I think working on that maturity, it comes in practice.
Okay, so again, that was a snippet that you put together there just to kind of condense things from earlier this week from Marlon. And then, of course, Kyle's response was the former of those two. And so Kyle, as I transcribed here, what stood out to me when asked if Marlon's comments were fair is that he didn't think they were. Now, does that lead to a perceived rift between the two? Certainly not. Not my interpretation of that whatsoever. He goes on to say he has his own perspective, more so lackadaisical than immature. So I guess the question becomes, is there really that big of a difference, Sarah? Maybe by definition, sure. But in this case, coming off a week 1 performance where it wasn't good enough and it was a collapse in the fourth quarter, which has become all too familiar for this defense in recent years, is there that big of a difference between the two, meaning lackadaisical and maturity?
Well, that's why I wanted to bring back in Marlon kind of discussing what he meant by maturity. So in Marlon Humphrey, he was saying you just got to do your job. And he's like, people want to go out there and say, I want to win the game. I want to win the game. I want to win the game. And what was not in that clip is he's like, my personal view is like, I don't want to be the person that loses the game. And so for him, that mindset is more like, that means I'm doing my job and I'm having faith in everybody else. Whereas like, if you're trying to win the game, then you might be leaving your job and then exposing your own defense. And so to me, what he was saying is like, there's a maturity there that you realize, okay, I need to be the one I need to do my job and trust in everybody else. So it's a chemistry thing. And then it's also a trust thing. So to me, Marlon Humphrey's explanation of immaturity and then the way he described immaturity is maybe a little bit harder to fix, because it just means like, can you play within yourself, play within the game and not try to do too much? Whereas like Kyle is saying, we got lackadaisical. To me, that meant, okay, no, we just felt like we had the game won. And so maybe they took the foot off their gas a little bit. So that's how I hear the difference in what these two are saying. And so Kyle's just like, well, next time we just need to play 4 quarters. Whereas Marlon's saying everybody needs to do their job.
Well, and that certainly would echo what Adafe Owe told reporters too, right? Echoing Kyle's sentiments about taking the foot. Like what you're interpreting that as is essentially what Adafe said point blank this week. And that was that they took their foot off the gas pedal. So
I do want to add one other thing, unless you still want to talk about the difference between maturity and lackadaisical. Do you have anything to add to that?
No, other than just the fact that these are the two, aside from Roquan, right? This is your longest tenured defensive Raven in Marlon's case, the highest paid NFL safety in Kyle's case, but two leaders of this defense in their own right.
Right.
And I think they're trying to nip this thing in the bud before it gets out, spirals in any case. And in no way am I trying to suggest that there is a rift between the two. They both have their own interpretation of what went wrong, or in terms of the way they're describing what went wrong on Sunday night. And I have no problem with how they handled this week, either one of them.
Yeah. And really, maybe it's just like what's inside their own minds and how they felt and whatnot. But here's what's interesting to me that they both kind of commented on, but it got glossed over. So you'll notice in there with the Marlon Humphrey, he said, it doesn't matter what Lamar does, and then stops himself and then moves on, right? Like, it doesn't matter what the offense and Lamar is doing. Like, we got to do this. So, and that's where he was talking about immaturity. Then over on Kyle Hamilton, he said, okay, we, meaning the defense, we might have wanted the offense to drain the clock out with 8 minutes left, but that's not how the game flowed. So that's why he's saying lackadaisical. Yeah. And maybe Marlon is also picking up on that, because he said it doesn't matter what Lamar does. It sounds to me that they were like, oh crap, we got to go back out there. And then yesterday at the pressers, Zack Orr also talked about how gassed they were in the fourth quarter, that they ended up having to play. I think in the end they played 87 snaps, I think he said, and more, about 30 or a little bit over were in the fourth quarter. Yeah. So I think the defense was like, oh, phew, we got off and we've been playing a ton. This is Josh Allen. Like, cool. Let Lamar and Derrick Henry and the Ravens go drain this clock and we can get a breather. But that didn't happen with the fumble. And so I think, like the Ravens of old, we just had Terrell Suggs on yesterday. So with him and Haloti Ngata and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, they lived in that world. I covered that world when you had Kyle Bowler and the numerous different quarterbacks, and their mindset was, we have to be back in a 3-and-out really quickly. Like, it's probably going to be a 3-and-out on offense. Whereas this defense, they do have to go back to that 2000 type mentality, that it's like, no matter what happens on the offense, yes, we do have probably one of, if not the best offense in the NFL, but our mindset needs to be, okay, we need to be ready in 3 plays all the time. And that old defense had that mentality. So when he's saying, yeah, we kind of want him to drain the clock. Okay, well, you can't be in that world. Like, you have to be in the world of, I have to be back in 1 minute. And if it so happens to be 8, then good for you. But the mindset can't be there.
Yeah, that type of gassed, almost tank already emptied feeling, or the visual, it showed in that fourth quarter, particularly up front. You just didn't see that relentlessness. You didn't see that emptying the tank. It appeared that the tank had already been emptied. And I think you're so right that if there was something that was glossed over there, it was that comment made about how, hey, it's the offense's time to kind of milk this thing. Let's get out of here. And whether it was a conditioning thing or just as Zack Orr said, like you mentioned, just being worn down by the game itself and how many plays and snaps they were out there for, it was a perfect storm in the end. And Josh Allen took advantage with that offense and with his mobility, because they just, man, all fourth quarter long, you're thinking to yourself, man, why does Josh appear to have this like never-ending energy level right now as he starts to scramble and have all kinds of time to survey the field? And look at the Ravens defensive front. Like it almost seemed like there was such a difference in energy levels that you almost felt like that one side was bleeding out and hanging on for dear life. And the other just was like, as the game was going on, as Derrick Henry always does, like becoming more and more energetic and explosive. So, some Zack Orr comments as well, right, that you transcribed here along the same lines.
Yeah. So while Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey were on a little bit different pages in terms of how they saw the ending of the game, Zack Orr feels like Marlon Humphrey did deliver the correct message that he had sent the defense after that game, because remember, Marlon Humphrey told the media that Zack Orr came in and said, hey, we will not have repeat offenders and we will not be as patient as we were last year. We're going to call guys out. And they took that to Zack and they're like, Zack, did you really say that? And he's like, that's definitely accurate. He was like, I'm not hiding from that. He goes, we're all about being upfront and honest with one another. He went on to say, hey, this isn't supposed to be like in a toxic or in a demeaning way. He's like, but we do need to hold one another accountable. And so, yes, I told them I cannot have repeat offenders and I will not be as patient. So, okay, he and Marlon were on the same page for that one.
Well, no doubt. That's not all he had to say either. As you noted, a couple other takeaways here. He was asked what went wrong on the final series of that first half. It allowed Buffalo to not only get into field goal range, but also go into half with a few more points, 3 of them to be exact. And he said he took accountability. Honestly, we could have been in a better call. So I'm going to put that on me, just straight up. Didn't go too long on that one, Sarah, but took accountability, wore that one on the chin, and ultimately held himself accountable.
Have you seen Baldy's breakdown of that last play?
I saw it come across the timeline, and it was an indictment on
I almost want to
everything.
bring it up. I should have brought it up knowing that I was going to bring in this slide. I wonder if I can find it really quick, because he showed like they didn't even try to put pressure on Josh Allen. Like nobody.
You talk about it, I'll grab it for you.
What, you got it? Okay, you'll find it. Keep so like there was nobody rushing whatsoever, which is like, Bobby, in practice, like your 7-on-7 portion, where like all you do is have all your weapons go out, and media will always remind us, hey, you're going to hear about the offense scoring here and the offense scoring there. And he's like, but in these drills, it's the offense that has an advantage because there's no pressure. And so any quarterback in the NFL, any starting quarterback is going to be able to pick apart a defense where there's no pass rush, there's no pressure, and then the pass coverage has to go out there and cover for how long? It's forever because there's no pressure. And so the offense always has an advantage. And so Baldy's pointing out, like, why aren't you even trying? Like, it's not with 4, it's not with 3. Like, there's no pressure whatsoever. Do you have it?
Brian Baldinger on deck.
Buffalo won by a point. But this is 7 seconds to go in the half. They're at the 48-yard line of Baltimore. What is the point of this defense? What's the point? I mean, Kincaid beats Marlon Humphrey. But Josh Allen has all the time in the world to make a perfect throw. Like, nobody's going to rush. Nobody's going to, like, threaten him. All those pass rushers in Baltimore, you're just going to let Josh Allen right here? Like the punt, pass, and kick contest. Like, I can throw it perfectly on a line. Like, you got 3 points right there. That was the difference in the game. That play. Like, I just don't understand that defense at all from Baltimore.
Yeah. Let's run that thing back on a loop with no sound. First of all,
sorry.
No, it's okay. Like, first of all, to Baldy's point initially, and to Zack Orr's point, right? Give him credit. What is going on here? Like, what's the strategy involved?
Where is anybody?
There's nothing going on here that's going to prevent the Bills They're dropping back. They're trying to prevent the big pass. They don't prevent it all in all. And by the way, that was an unbelievable dime on a window that was such a small window for Josh Allen to drop this in the bucket. Was it Josh Palmer who caught this football, Chad? Help me out. But this was
he's sitting there all day to see it though. Like, it's a great
he's got
pass,
all kinds of time. He's got all kinds of time, yes, but it was surgical in terms of the window. Regardless, it is the difference in the game. Baldy's right.
And then like I don't know if can you pull that up one more time? Can you see Kyle Van Noy on this play? Like, and again, maybe it's Zack Orr that has him out there, but Kyle Van Noy, he should be towards the bottom of the screen if we can get him in here. Like, can you see him barely? They're like, look at Kyle Van Noy. He's like doing nothing.
It's bad.
And again, I don't know that that's Kyle's fault. It sounds like it's Zack Orr taking accountability. Luckily, so it's good. Like, we're happy to hear that he's going to hold his players accountable and say, hey, we're not going to take 10 weeks this time. But yeah, we got to get better. We got to get better calls than that. Like, there's nobody on the line.
Yep.
So anyway, there was that. And then finally, last kind of takeaway from the pressers yesterday was Zack Orr. He was asked about Jair Alexander. As we all know, he did not play very well, but we also know he only had 3 days of practice after not being at practice for about 3 weeks. So Zack says, I'm not worried about him. He does have to get right, meaning he's not quite all the way there yet. He had so much time off and then came back last week at practice. It's difficult to take that much time off and come back and play. So we got full confidence in him. He's been flying around. He's just going to continue to get better. I'm still excited and fired up about him. So that's all fair, but maybe don't give him a third of the snaps. Maybe ramp up even less. And maybe in that fourth quarter, maybe not have him too much in there when you're getting picked apart by Josh Allen.
I'd have to believe that Jair was breathing down that staff necks.
Yes.
I just think he was chomping at the bit to get out there. And as probably difficult as those conversations were, perhaps the Ravens caved a little bit and were like, you know what? Let's see where he's at. Which, I get it. Former All-Pro talent, but when you're coming off a significant PCL tear in January, or at least the procedure was had in early January, and the knee drain was the first week of camp, and man, I don't know. I think a lot of people in this chat, and maybe you and me included, would have liked to have seen what I think a lot of us want to see more of, and that's TJ Tampa. Like, what do they have in him? We don't know. And they ultimately know, and so they're making that decision based on what they know and what they've evaluated. But man, I guess he's coming off his own setback from last year, but he's a year removed from the double sports hernia procedure. So yeah, I'm with you. I would like to have seen just a slight downtick in overall snap count there for a Jair, just to give him, we're giving him great. The reason why we're giving him grace on that, like we didn't expect him to come out there and be, in mid-season form playing a third of the snaps, but that's what happened.
Yep.
All right. Well,
I was going to say super chats.
All right. Thank you guys for being with us on this Friday. And if you haven't already taken a look at the pinned comment in the live chat, just know that Sarah and I are doing a little Purple Friday giveaway, courtesy of the vaultpod.com/shop. And a t-shirt, a Vault t-shirt that is up for grabs at the end of the show. We will randomly divvy that up, draw up a winner randomly. And if you use the hashtag Vault and leave a comment in that live chat on the YouTube side of things, you will be eligible. DHB Senior, Sarah, got us started right before the show.
Running deep, running silent. Pray America.
And on top of that, gifted a 5-channel spot, a 5 gift of channel VAULTRONs today. Appreciate you, DHB Senior, for being with us on this Friday. Dreams Rights. What's up, VAULTRONs? En route to Baltimore. Excited for Sunday, but I want to know, did Micah throw shade on the Ravens post-game yesterday? Happy Friday. Sarah, he almost knew it was a quick hit. Shall we cut to it now?
Sure.
Here's Micah Parsons after a stellar, and I mean stellar, performance for the Packers last night. Thursday Night Football, they take down the Commanders at Lambeau.
Time around here, it's always been about the offense and the quarterback. But the way this defense has made a statement the last couple of weeks, what do you think it says about this team?
What I've been telling everyone, defense wins championships. J Love, I think, you give us 20 points, we should be able to win that game. It's all about getting stops and getting the ball back into the offense. As y'all seen against Baltimore Buffalo, you can have a quarterback damn near have a perfect game but still lose because guess what? The defense gave up, 40 points? So defense won championship. They want to, I think the fans like points and they like to see the big plays, but when you play great defense, it's just so beautiful to see.
Sarah, to answer Quion's question there that he threw out there, I think he's just speaking facts. I don't think he's throwing shade. How about you?
I think he's just making a plug for defense because the NFL is an offensive driven league for sure. And I think you could look at it as he was giving props to Lamar Jackson too. You could look at it in either way. He's like, you have a quarterback. He didn't name names, but he was obviously talking about Lamar Jackson, who can play a nearly perfect game and you can still lose. And so you're right. He's speaking facts in that defenses do still win championships, and you don't make it to the playoffs without good defenses. And that's partially why the Ravens don't score as much in the playoffs, is because the defenses get better. And man, oh man, what is this chart? Explain this chart, because he looks like he's everywhere. What the greens are pressure? Look at all that pressure.
I'll just rip off the numbers, man. It was an insane second half for Micah. He generated a team high 8 pressures, a half sack on 37 pass rushes. That's 21.6% win rate. That's his second game with Green Bay. 6 of his pressures came in the second half alone, and he was just an utterly, utterly dominant game wrecker last night, Sarah. And dare I say, when you get caught up in the moment after 2 weeks, which is too young of a season, and we'll see what happens with the Packers, but does he put them over the top to represent the NFC, a few months down the line in Santa Clara? Right now, it certainly looks like they're going to give the Eagles darn good competition if they end up meeting in the postseason. So
you just called Micah Parsons a game wrecker, which is 1,000% accurate. Here's my question.
Yeah.
Who on the Ravens defense is a game wrecker?
I think Nnamdi Madubuike comes to mind first, honestly.
And like there's guys that are close to it. Kyle Hamilton can be, you know what I mean? Like he has been, but like, I don't know. Do they completely meet that definition? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I'm going to put Madubuike quite there. I get why he's one of the first people you think about, but
he's not a household name. We know that he's not a household name. His 2023 was like game wrecker epitomized. But since then, I think, and I get it, in order to be in that Myles Garrett upper echelon, right, top game wreckers with the TJ Watts and the Micahs, you have to fight through the game planning against you. And Nnamdi hasn't proven yet to be able to do so. Like last year, you only had 5.5, 6.5 sacks. That only tells the part of the story. A lot of double teams, right? A lot of game planning specifically designed to take him out of the plan, if you will. But I think from a Ravens perspective, he'd be the first and maybe only name that comes to mind from upfront standpoint.
Upfront.
Right now.
Yeah, upfront. But I do think in the back end, Kyle is one of those that just need to come. I'm still thinking of the time that, remember, he just went on a pass rush against the Browns and he caught the ball and walked it in. Like more of those types of plays. like I remember Troy Polamalu was that as a safety. You know what I mean? I remember him just breaking the heart of Joe Flacco and all of Baltimore so many different times. And so you just want to see it in those biggest moments come up, because that's what it is. It's got to be in the big moments, not just like when you're already up by double digits and you're feeling good.
I will say on this note, just because I see some weighing in on this topic in the live chat right now, Jadeveon Clowney reportedly left his Dallas visit without a pen to paper contract signed. So Jadeveon is still out there. Obviously, he had a wonderful 2023, Sarah, with the Ravens up front. Boy, did he ever. He remains unsigned, perhaps waiting for the right opportunity. He visited the Cowboys, as Josina Anderson and others reported earlier this week, and he remains out there for the taking. So just throwing that into the world. Dre Dog, Sarah, this one's for you.
Says loss was a stepping stone to greatness. #Vault.
And another one from Eric Murphy.
Delpit is getting airmailed via stiff arm. Oh, let that be true.
What's up, Brian? #Vault. That enters him into today's giveaway. Happy Purple Friday. Same to you, Brian. You and yours. JP from Cincy says Ravens will spank the Browns. BTA. We know what that is. 34-7 calling his shot. Delpit does not want to see 22 running at him. Derek is pissed about that fumble. Cannot wait. Katie has become a channel member, and she has renewed her membership, I think, because I saw a comment from hers in our pre-show live chat that said, I miss the font color. I feel naked without the font color. So thanks, Katie. Glad you're fully clothed now, if you will. Lil Lyle for you.
It says Purple Rising, happy Friday. Love you guys. We love you too, Lil Lyle.
Eric Hill entering himself in, which reminds me, Sarah, there was a 50.
Did we miss one?
What happened to our 50 spot? If you could go and find that, I'll continue to
I
go.
got it right here.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Well,
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yes. I was going to say.
Sorry, Tilly. I just woke Tilly up from her nap, and she looks very, very stressed and concerned. It's okay, little girl. It's
Tilly
okay.
should know that when Eric Hill is in the chat, she cannot take a nap.
She can't, especially because my man and our man updated his profile photo.
Ooh.
Sergeant Eric Hill right there.
There we go. He says, good afternoon. Cue the meatloaf. And if no one tells you today that they love you, just know that I do. Go speak life into a random stranger today. Oh, I love that. Go speak life into somebody today. Be an angel in someone's life today. And let's get ready for some Ravens football. Hashtag 6K for LJ. Hashtag stop the 22. And
Eric,
he also, Bobby, gifted 5 Vault memberships. So he wasn't done there. So Eric Hill is just going and breathing life into the Vault today.
Of course he did. He's the man. And Eric Hill 2.0, I should say here, with his 2 YouTube channels, also enters himself into the giveaway. So you are the man, Eric. Thank you for your service. David Anderson writes, Happy Purple Friday, Flock Nation, from Cleveland. Oh, the irony, from Cleveland. Eric makes sure he's in 2 times. So double the hashtags to enter himself in twice now to our giveaway coming up at the end of the show. Isaiah Sarah is celebrating 5 months of channel membership.
Says, what's up, Vault fam? If we bring a snippet of that 23 defense back, we won't lose. Ah, that 23 defense was nice.
Rod Wave, what's up? This defense has become a joke around the league. The Browns making fun of us. Wow. We should have traded for Micah. I was wrong. We have no game wreckers. God King for you.
Says, we keep talking about the dumb coaching decisions with play calling and personnel choices, and we blame the players. Dumb coaches making dumb choices.
David Anderson entering himself in with a hashtag Vault. God King says hashtag Vault. Coaches need to stop blaming the players. And Makda Mahari writes, Browns players have been talking a lot. Please make them pay. Please.
What else would stop them? You have to make them pay. Otherwise, this is becoming more what Marlon Humphrey was talking about. Nobody fears us. Well, now it's going to another level. Like, you may not fear one another, but just putting all this out in the media and saying, what are you going to do about it? You don't want it to become a trend. You got to do something about it.
Darlene Harris celebrating 3 months of channel membership. Happy Purple Friday, y'all. We got this. Hashtag Vault. So she is officially entered in to today's giveaway. And if you guys haven't already figured it out by now, just go click the link that's included as a pinned comment right now in the live chat. And if you use the hashtag Vault, leave us a comment. That'll enter you in to our giveaway coming up at the end of the show. Partner, shall we get to some football?
Let's get to some more X's and O's and some of the matchups that are coming up.
All right. And you don't want to know, you already know where I'm looking. I think you're going to be looking at this too. We all should be looking at this because who knows? This could ultimately decide the game or help decide the game in the trenches. If you look back at week 8 last year, which was a Ravens loss, 29-24, Kyle Hamilton, of course, drops the would-be interception in the waning moments of that game, thrown by Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston threw that ball, right? And Kyle Hamilton could not corral it. Ultimately, it is a totally self-inflicted loss. Yes, I think when you look at it from 1,000 feet up, but you really dig into it, the Ravens did not win the trenches. And that starts this upcoming year with a matchup that's actually favored Ronnie Stanley over the years. First of all, take a look at what number 79, according to PFF, did, Sarah, in week 1. An overall grade of 87 flat, a pass blocking grade of 73.4, no pressures allowed against Buffalo, one of the highest graded offensive lineman rankings coming off week 1. Now, Teron Armstead certainly knows a thing or two himself about tackle play and going up against who Ronnie will inevitably see on Sunday in Baltimore, and that is the game wrecker of all game wreckers in Myles Garrett. Listen to Tehran. This is courtesy of PFF. We'll get some more thoughts on the other side.
Ronnie Stanley's part of everything, because as we were doing a little bit of show prep before we hit record, I'm talking about how Ronnie Stanley has 154 pass blocking reps against Myles Garrett. He's only given up 1 sack, 14 pressures, just a 13% pass rush win percentage for Myles Garrett when he has gone up against Ronnie Stanley. For Myles Garrett's standards, and you talked about him being at the top of his game his whole career, he has been consistently above 20% when it comes to that pass rush win percentage. So for Ronnie Stanley to hold him to 13% when they've gone up against each other, that's a pretty good number. And when we were kind of talking about those notes there, you said, well, hold on, Ronnie Stanley's like that. You got to give him his respect. And that's obviously what we're trying to do here on this show, highlighting this matchup. So talk to me about Ronnie Stanley and how good he is as an offensive tackle.
Listen, Ronnie Stanley is one of them ones. He is. Ronnie has been exceptional, beyond exceptional his entire career. He's been an all-pro. He's been the highest paid O-lineman ever. You know what I mean? And he's earned those accolades. And is not for no reason that he's been able to hold Myles Garrett less than his average win rate. And Ronnie Stanley is coming off a week 1 performance where 0 pressures allowed and 87 PFF grade, second highest tackle already to start the season. So
yeah,
locked in, he's ready to roll. They have a lot of history. They have a lot of experience against each other. So those guys know what they want to do and how they want to attack their opponent. Ronnie Stanley is one of them ones that can stand in there and go toe-to-toe with Myles Garrett.
One of them ones coming from who's also considered one of them ones. He just retired, Sarah, recently, did Teron Armstead. He was a five-time Pro Bowler himself, a former All-Pro, spent the majority of his career with the Saints and the last several leading into last year with the Miami Dolphins. But here you have it right here. The matchups all time over Ronnie's career against Myles Garrett. He has more than held his own, which not a lot of tackles can say when you think about the brute force, the explosiveness, the ridiculous athleticism that Zack Jackson told us about in our game preview that 95 commands and presents.
I love having a healthy Ronnie Stanley again. Some dark years we had when he was dealing with his injuries. And these numbers are, eye-opening. Of course, Myles Garrett is going to get his at some point during the game. But if I could handpick one offensive lineman to just stay with Myles Garrett, it obviously would be Ronnie Stanley. And to go from a 20% career pass rush win rate to 13, to cut that by 7 for Ronnie, to have 154 pass blocking snaps, allow 1 sack. He's only allowed 1 sack to Myles Garrett and 154 pass blocking reps. That's no joke. There are just those 14 pressures. Lamar Jackson, can handle that. He can handle a little bit of pressure. We don't want to give him too much, but that's really, really good from Ronnie Stanley. And Bobby, maybe this is a good. Do you have anything else to add before I kind of transition to Zack Jackson and what he had to say about this?
Zack Johnson, I love a good golfer.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So Zack Jackson of The Athletic, we interviewed him pre-recorded this morning. He couldn't do it during the show. So I just have a couple of clips that kind of plug that episode. If you guys want to go check it out later today, I think we're posting it at 4, Bobby. We'll be posting.
It'll be available to everybody at 4. And just as a reminder, Terrell Suggs has been available since 4 yesterday.
Yes, that was a great one. So anyway, Zack kind of gives his big picture thoughts on the game, of course. So that's what this clip will include. But I also asked him specifically, will they let Garrett travel because of how well Stanley's done against him? And oh, by the way, you have a number 77 over on the right-hand side. So what will they do in terms of the strategy there?
I mean, the Browns are angry, right? They gave one away last week. They completely outplayed the Bengals for half of that game, if not more, and they didn't win. And it's all on them. The 2 interceptions were not perfectly thrown balls, but they hit receivers in the hands that ended up as interceptions. They miss an extra point in a 36-yard field goal, which is mandatory. They lose the game after giving up 7 yards in the first half. So, you can always sprain an ankle, jump into conclusions in week 1, but the Browns this is who they are. They have a really good to elite defense. They have a shaky offense. They don't have much margin for error. They don't have much depth, right? So they're healthy. They're angry. Myles Garrett is one of the top X number of players in the game. Denzel Ward is one of the top X number of players in the game. I think the Browns and Ravens have split in 6 of the last 7 years, which speaks to the competitiveness of the AFC North and, how you can't take anything for granted. But the Browns are going to need to play a nearly perfect game to keep this thing close.
So did you say they won't move Garrett around? Because if I'm the Browns, I'm like, let me get Garrett over on number 77, Daniel Alele, and just take advantage of that all day long.
Yeah, they won't move him around very often. They will move him to an extent, right? I think, I know those numbers. I think sometimes Miles has played not when Ronnie Stanley's been out, but the thing is, it doesn't show up in the numbers. Miles is fast enough to keep up with Lamar. He's not beating Lamar in a 40-yard sprint, but he's fast enough to really do things that most people can't do. And then the other thing is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who was one of the league's fastest linebackers. He's out for the season and potentially will never play again after that collision with Derrick Henry last year. So with Derrick Henry coming downhill, I mean, that's going to be the whole thing. Can the Ravens set the tone early and get that Browns defensive front back on their heels? I'm going to take the Ravens in a 31-23-ish type of game. I do think Flacco will play well. I do think the Browns will have a good plan. I think that people will come away saying, man, Myles Garrett is good.
So there you go from Zach over covering the Browns on a daily basis for The Athletic. But he said that they will not move Myles Garrett around, which I feel like is like a blessing to the Ravens. I know that they have other talents along the defensive line, but, like I said, if I could just isolate Myles Garrett to one offensive lineman, it would be Ronnie Stanley. So I feel like they're gifting that to us. But overall, the trenches are going to be huge. Zack Jackson sees this still as like a 31 kind of 23 type game with the Ravens winning. And other places, like he called the Browns organization a joke. He talked about, he's like, hey, it's the Browns. He predicted that we're going to see all 3 quarterbacks because they're not going to be in contention for anything. And so later they'll bring in both Shedeur Sanders and
Dylan Gabriel.
Thank you very much.
But not in that order.
Not in that order. He thought it was going to be Dylan first and then Shedeur. But either way, he's like, it's the Browns. We're going to see all 3 of them. So he definitely sees a Ravens win. But like the rest of us, he thinks that the Browns will put together a good game plan, give him a good game. But in the end, they'll run out of gas and the Ravens will take it by, a pretty safe score.
Yeah, that'll all be available. By the way, the quote, the Browns are an all-time joke organization. That is the direct quote from Zack Jackson speaking bluntly about the team in which he's covered for years. The Browns are an all-time joke organization. So this was a good episode. You guys go check that out in full, 4 p.m. Eastern. It'll be fully released to everybody, our game preview. And Sarah, not everybody behind the mic in Cleveland is talking for bulletin board material purposes. Let's go to a couple cuts from members of the staff. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, both of whom spoke about the challenge that is Lamar Jackson. We'll begin with the Maryland native. He went to Mount St. Joseph High School. I believe he's originally from the Halethorpe area. Jim Schwartz, a very talented coordinator and a defensive mind for the Cleveland Browns. Here he is talking about Lamar.
Lamar, where does Lamar's biggest improvements come since he's come into the league?
Yeah, I mean, he's been at the top of his game for a few years now. I think everybody, does some things a little bit better as they get older and things like that. But I think most of the improvements he had came early in his career. And now he's just, playing consistently. I mean, doesn't turn the ball over very much. Uses his legs when he has to. He's been, and this was probably about 3 years ago or so, he got significantly better versus the blitz. That used to be something that people could do to take his legs away, make him throw quicker than he wanted to. He's a really good deep ball thrower. Saw that last week in Buffalo, that ball to Hopkins right there. We have a lot of respect for him. We know we're going to have to play our very best when he's out there, but I don't think what we're seeing from him is a recent development. It's been a few years coming, and hats off to him for the improvements that he's made, particularly early in his career.
Jim Schwartz, Sarah, in the past has given answers about Lamar that set Twitter on fire just in terms of maybe being lukewarm or giving the bare minimum from a complimentary standpoint. Not the case in the year that is 2025, as you just heard.
Well, either he's learning his lesson or he really does feel like Lamar's gotten better. And now he's like, okay, well, this is going to be a tougher assignment this time around. And Kevin Stefanski, he also talked a little bit about Lamar Jackson, and here he is.
Imagine you can't replicate Lamar Jackson in practice. He's a great player. He's physically gifted. Like we talked about before, he can beat you with his arm, with his legs, and beat you from the pocket, outside the pocket. So we understand the challenge. Doesn't make it easy. You practice hard against, a look that you're trying to show what he can do, but it's impossible to replicate that. So we have a ton of respect for him, and we just have to make sure that we do all those things as a football team, as a defense, to play well.
Sarah, how many times have we heard that before? There is nobody, whether it's on the scout team, 53-man roster, practice squad, anybody around Cleveland, Ohio, you name it, there is nobody that can replicate and simulate Lamar Jackson in practice, which is part of the reason why he keeps these coordinators up at night trying to figure out how the heck to handle it.
Well, and at least they'll have all of their team ready to do it. They have everything that they need at their disposal. Bobby, the Browns are an extremely healthy team right now. There are a few players listed on their injury report, but if you'll notice, none of them missed practice, including running back Quinshon Judkins. And so he is back, and like literally everybody was at practice for the Browns on Thursday. You assume that it'll be the same again today. So they will be a full go. They'll have no excuses. Maybe, as Zack says, they might be a joke of an organization, but they're a healthy organization coming into this game.
Yeah, this could be Quinshon's NFL debut, Sarah. He's been dealing with some legal issues in recent months, so we'll have to see just how much of usage they might call on him for. But that's a talented running back that could very well be making his NFL debut. So something to watch just in terms of Cleveland's offensive attack and helping out Joe Flacco as much as possible, trying to bring some, balance to that offense and not just airing it out and testing the Ravens secondary. But you never know. That might be the game plan, knowing how susceptible they've been to big plays in recent years. So that's sort of the Cleveland perspective. Again, we will have that episode for you if you want the nitty-gritty game preview coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern in our best of playlist. So go ahead and make yourselves a calendar reminder, or just hit that notification bell and you'll be notified when that thing drops in a couple hours from right now. Shall we get some more super chats before we cut to a couple best of, if you will, from yesterday with T-Sizz?
Yeah, we'll do T-Sizz and quick hits after these super chats.
Fantastic. I think we left off with, Darlene is who we left off with. So What I Say Junior kicks things back off, and he writes, "What I about to slap the Browns silly, #Vault." Kieran Martin celebrating 1 month of channel membership, Sarah.
Kieran says, #Vault. I want to see Ronnie level Delpit like he did to that other guy last week. Browns about to catch some hands on Sunday.
I believe that was, well, hold on here.
Yeah,
Ronnie leveling Delpit or Derek leveling
He might have meant Derek.
Because Cole Bishop was on the wrong end of that last week in Buffalo. So we'll have to see who could potentially be a victim of Derrick Henry in a couple days from now. Lewis, who always rocks his vault gear and his profile photo, which we appreciate. He's celebrating 6 months of channel membership and writes, "This coaching staff has to be better. Still pissed off, but fired up for Sunday. Season ticket holder here and bringing the energy. #Vault." Thank you, Lewis. Eric Murphy, Sarah.
So he said Derek. He's got Derek with the flexed bicep muscle emoji. Delpit, he's got a grave emoji, and he says #Vault.
And Daniel Oyefusi just updating a few things, Sarah, just because we had the injury report up a second ago. We might as well cut to this right now. Oyefusi's the ESPN Browns reporter that Judkins, the rookie running back, is questionable. He's going to be questionable. Jack Conklin, veteran right tackle, also questionable. Defensive tackle Mike Hall has been ruled out. So there you have it from Oyefusi. I'm sure that's relayed from the Browns on their availability from a few select players coming up on Sunday. Sergeant Knight, for you.
Says happy Friday. Stay safe and stay ready. #Vault.
Davon, what's up, brother? Happy Friday. Hashtag Vault in the ER watching today. And I think this has something to do with your son, Davon. I saw it in the live chat. Was there a broken bone or an accident or something that happened? I hope you're doing all right. Let us know. We're wishing you and your son well, if indeed that's what you're dealing with in the ER today. John Harbaugh sharing a short while ago here, Sarah, at his press conference that Rashad Bateman, did not practice because of a personal issue. So hopefully that means he'll be good to go coming up on Sunday. We wish him well. Hopefully everything's okay with him and his family.
Yeah, and something tells me with this game, because I do think the Browns are going to sell out to try to stop Derek and Lamar on the ground, and Derek and Lamar will still get theirs. But I do think the Ravens are going to need to have some success in the passing game for sure. So it's going to be important to have Rashad Bateman out there.
Harbaugh also noting that, as Jeff's already noted and others that have seen this, that there's encouraging progress being made on Isaiah Likely's end. So that's good news for his ramp up. Eileen, my birthday is Sunday. They better win. Hashtag Vault.
Yeah. Let's do it for Eileen. For sure.
Yeah. Happy early birthday, Eileen. Dream says hashtag Vault. If the Ravens defense doesn't show up this Sunday after all the trash talk, then clearly they can't be taken seriously in the playoffs. God King.
Starks wanted most to pick Josh off and drops it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Right. I remember him saying that.
And that confirms what we were wondering, right? A couple of days ago after the draft, right? Malachi went on ESPN and said that that's who he wanted. And he had an opportunity to. Oh, man, I'm sure he's thinking about it still.
Oh, what a way he could have started off his NFL career. The first defensive series, he picks off Josh Allen and just like bursts onto the scene. Oh, what a missed opportunity.
Fairy tale stuff. Ryan White says, time to walk the dog. Hashtag Vault. I know Dre Dog likes that. Sod Blitz 34, Sarah.
In the last game last year, they lined up Miles on the left side of the defense for the majority of the game when he's usually on the right. Hashtag Vault.
Danny G23. If this defense can get it right, we can run the rest of our schedule. We have to take advantage. Appreciate you both. Hashtag Vault. Remember, though, Kansas City and Detroit still looming. A big 6 weeks for the Ravens leading into their bye, and an early one at that. Eric says, YouTube doesn't allow me doing super chats over $2. Well, that's a problem. Somehow you're also combating that because you've already dropped a 50 spot in today. Isaiah, Sarah?
It's so weird because we hear that from time to time from some of these guys. I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
Isaiah says, Sarah, Garrett wouldn't be ready for Lele anyway.
What's that mean?
I don't know.
Sergeant says, Hill, that's not YouTube. It's your account. Hashtag Vault. So perhaps something being flagged perhaps internally on the YouTube side of things. Thank you guys for spending part of your Fridays with us here inside the Vault. A few minutes away from our randomized giveaway. It's a Vault t-shirt, courtesy of our new merch line that we dropped in July, Sarah, that we're going to be doing Purple Friday giveaways here and there for. We figured it's a nice way to give back and say thanks to you guys and ultimately get this Vault merch line continuing to fire away. So we'll get to that in just a bit, but we wanted to quickly tease, just in case you haven't caught it yet, our interview yesterday, our exclusive conversation with former Raven, all-time great Terrell Suggs. Sarah, we just straight up had to get him to weigh in on what's going around Raven circles, not just this week, but given the underperformance in recent years in the postseason, the John Harbaugh conversation. And Sis was happy to weigh in on it. You know, it's been a loud week for your former coach. It's been a loud couple of years with some of the underperformance in the postseason. And sometimes he's the easy, on the opposite end of like where the finger ends up being pointed to within the fan base of trying to essentially divvy up blame and make sense of this underperformance, right? It's been un-Raven-like, if you will, from the standard of excellence that they've over 30 years now, which of course is the anniversary this weekend, as we know. How do you balance, whether it be as a former player, as a fan of your former organization, or just simply from the business side of things? How do you balance the fact that it's year 8 for Lamar Jackson, expectations are sky high, and yet they've underperformed in the postseason? How much of that blame should be pointed at the coach?
I think very little. I think we had a firm understanding as players is that when you cross them white lines, nobody can save you. Only you can save you. Like, we got the plan. It's our job to go out there and execute the plan. I hate that, every time something goes wrong, which is, he's the head coach. This is why he's in that job. He's going to take the blame if the team lost. But from a player's perspective, when we see what's going on, John Harbaugh is not out there running and throwing any balls. He's not tackling anybody. He's not covering anybody. You know what I'm saying? This is our plan. You got to go out there and execute. And as we clearly see, the plan was working. We had the lead. It was working. But like I said, one misfortune after another. It has nothing to do with the coaching. You know what I'm saying? If it's 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, you don't, run a 7-yard route. You know what I'm saying? Like, go get the first down. Go get the first down. I know on paper it says, yeah, you're running at 7, but we need a first down. At some point, the players has got to be accountable. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, we all itching to win. Like, we all been right there. We all been right there for years. You all been right there for years. You know what I'm saying? And you just can't get over hump. And I don't think that's, the coach. It's like, we haven't played the same team every year. It hasn't been the same team knocking us out of the playoffs every year. You know what I'm saying? It's been a different team, different case of a different set of circumstances. And you know what I'm saying? And it's hard to replace a winning coach. You know what I'm saying? Like, Harbs is a winner. You know what I'm saying? I think he's a winner. And I think it's unfair. It's like, yeah, like, we all want to win the Super Bowl. We all want to win a Super Bowl. But you take a gamble and you try to bring in another coach, you thinking you're going to match the success. I don't think that. Not in this case. Not in this case.
All right, Sarah, not what everybody in the live chat wanted to hear or wants to hear now for the first time, but that is how Terrell Suggs feels related to the John Harbaugh conversation. You can check out that interview in full in our best of playlist. Any thoughts 24 hours later? He was kind enough to spend about 20, 35, I think between 20 and 30 minutes with us.
Yeah, he was a phenomenal interview. But on that specific clip about John Harbaugh, number one, I appreciate Terrell Suggs looking at this from like a mature player point of view, which is like, you always look at yourself, you always look at the players. And then he pointed out some places where rightfully you can look at players, right? He's like, you got to run to the sticks to get the first down. You can't be the one to fumble. Like, so to me, somehow things always become like this false binary, right? Like, whether it be like, oh, we're running too much, oh, we're passing too much. And then it becomes, well, it's this person's fault. No, it's that person's fault. It's like, it's not one or the other. Like, obviously the players had mistakes and the players had blunders for sure. And that isn't to like, to talk about the coaches doesn't mean the players are perfect, and the same vice versa. So when he said, he goes, I hate every time when things go wrong, a head coach gets blamed. But I actually feel like it's been the opposite in Baltimore. I feel like for the most part, John Harbaugh, especially in the national media, I feel like John Harbaugh is almost never mentioned. And I feel like this is one of the first times after this week 1 loss, there's actually been a focus on him. Like, I honestly can't recall. Like, I remember when he first got here, sure, he was having problems internally with the players, but like the Ravens were winning so much when Joe Flacco and John Harbaugh came in, and they kept getting to the playoffs, and then they finally broke through and won a Super Bowl. And so, and then then Joe Flacco got injured, which was one of the really bad years that they had. And then Lamar Jackson came in, and it's been all good. And so it's like, I actually don't feel like, I can't remember a time that John's really been under fire ever, at least in the national media. Maybe for a little bit. I do remember Steve Bisciotti said he considered moving on at one point, and that was right before Lamar Jackson got drafted. Other than that, locally, I can't remember John Harbaugh really ever being under on the hot seat nationally. So I respect what Sizzle is saying, because that usually is the case. It's like a head coach and the quarterback get most of the blame. But I think here in Baltimore, Harbaugh's almost never had it. And it's not just about week 1 of why people are talking about him. It's because under his tutelage in these big games, the Ravens are not playing up to their ability. So I think it's appropriate that people are talking about Harbaugh now. And I think it's actually a role reversal from what Harbaugh or what Sizzle's explaining that usually happened with head coaches.
just to be clear on 2 follow-ups for me. You're
Okay.
talking about throughout the Lamar era, 1, right, related to Harbaugh. That's my first question.
I'd say almost ever. There was one period of time where it was at the end of the Joe Flacco era, before Lamar Jackson was drafted. I felt like he got some heat locally for that one period of time, but nationally, I feel like this is one of the first times where I feel like I've heard a chorus of national people saying, "Hey, John, this is on you too."
Okay. Just because my mind's taking me back to post AFC Championship loss 2 years ago. And maybe it wasn't a chorus. Maybe a chorus was after Lamar and his underperformance in that game.
Yeah.
More so than, and it was noisy about Monken's play calling, the abandoning of the run, how Harbaugh has a hand in that as well. But I definitely remember it being pretty noisy there. I don't know if a chorus is the right, like there was probably, if you were to divvy it up, it was more aimed at Lamar because that was the trendy, sexy topic about his subpar performance that was a trend throughout previous postseasons leading into the AFC Championship game. But I do remember there absolutely was some on the national level.
I think it's fair to point out that time. I feel like that was like a big criticism for a game plan. I agree, but never like, hey, even after that time, I don't remember people, which we heard on Monday, people saying, "Oh, is this going to be the last chapter of the Lamar and Harbaugh era?" Do you know what I mean? There was for sure a lot of criticism about that game plan. I just don't ever remember his job being scrutinized the way it was this week in the national media. But I think it's fair that you point that out.
I think it's fair to say that this week's probably been the noisiest.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
In terms
both
of
on a local and national level.
Local, regional, national. It has been the noisiest, substantive, almost darn near universal acknowledgement of the shortcomings as a duo, which could very well lead to the demise of the head coach, being that you have the other part of that duo in the prime of his career that should be 3-time MVP and somebody that has been a transcendent player. So
yeah.
I think we're on the same page.
But I think Harbaugh's been under fire with this fan base for a long time. I haven't seen it rise to this level, both from the fan base, the local media, and the national media.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And now how are they going to respond? How they're going to respond
Right.
remains to be seen, but it all starts coming up this weekend. More quick hits as well, unless you want to.
I just want to give one more thought. I do think it's telling, however, because people are always wondering what Steve Bisciotti's thinking. Okay. And I don't know for sure, but I do think that Steve Bisciotti likes to keep a pulse on the locker room and with other coaches. And I think it's telling that here Terrell Suggs comes on and he's like, no, it's not. Little blame goes to Harbaugh. And then on the collective, you had Jimmy Smith on and he's like, hey, I'm a Harbaugh guy. And eventually he did say, hey, he's had a lot of bites of the apple, which is what we've been saying. So he's like, maybe this could be the last bite if he doesn't make it through. But he was like defending Harbaugh. And I remember you asking him like, or Cole asked him like, okay, so what does John Harbaugh do? Because fans are so used to like a coach calling the plays. And so Jimmy went into detail about the impact that Harbaugh has, and like, don't underestimate it. Like some head coaches can only focus on one part of the team. Like Harbaugh coaches everybody and he's everywhere and this and that. So I think it's telling that you have players coming to John Harbaugh's defense. And the reason why I point that out is because I think that is a weighty factor for somebody like Steve Bisciotti, who's keeping a pulse on everything.
Sure. And that brings us to quick hits. And Ed Oliver will not play on Sunday against the Jets. He has an ankle injury. That's what Sean McDermott says. And I'm sure you brought this in, Sarah, for one reason and one reason only, because speaking of game wrecking, he did exactly that against the Ravens at times on Sunday night.
He did a lot of game wrecking. It looks like his body paid a price for it. And obviously, I always like it when teams are at full steam, so it's not like I would have wished that he wasn't playing. But I think this will probably have an impact on the Bills going forward, given the type of impact he had on the Ravens and their offense as good as it was.
Yeah. And elsewhere, more Ravens pundits, or at least pundits going in the Ravens direction. You pulled up a graphic yesterday from 10 NFL Network personalities, all of whom had the Ravens comfortably winning on Sunday against Cleveland, and you got a couple more as well across the board here, unanimously.
But here's the problem. So I've got 2 graphics up here, both written by Kevin Eck, and I think this is, he also does Late for Work. So one is dated September 13th, 2024. The other is dated September 12th, 2025. It's almost an exact year away. And it's the same headline, but with a different team going into week 2. Pundit picks, Ravens unanimously picked to beat the Raiders at this time last year. And now we've got the same thing. Pundit picks, Ravens unanimously picked to beat the Browns. And so it's just another one of those superstitious things. I remember, I think Lamar Jackson was asked about this, like, hey, this is kind of like the Chiefs and you guys, had a letdown in week 2. He's like, man, I haven't even thought about that. And yet I think that's what everybody's thinking about here. This better not repeat itself from last year.
Shoe boy, look away if you're, let's just look away if you have to. Couple more clips. I'll let you take these.
Yeah. So just I feel like the national media is just now getting to the point that Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh said on Sunday that he had cramps. And back on Sunday, Lamar said we would have gone for it if it weren't for my cramps. But somehow the national media is picking up on it more because on Wednesday, Lamar reiterated that, but he also threw in like the poop comment. So I don't know if that's the reason why it's making it to the national media. But like I've seen so many different programs being like, oh, he had cramps. Okay. So yeah, that plays into the calculus. Still should have taken a timeout, but it plays into it. But Chad Ochocinco and on the nightclub was saying about how they had to deal with cramps and how they're saying maybe the Ravens need to, they may need to change their approach with Lamar because this is the second time that cramps have come up. And one time it almost spoiled the game. And in this sense, it did.
Might need to get IVs before the game because he's had this problem before. Remember Cleveland? Yeah. When he had to go in there, he went to the ambulance and he ended up coming out and put the cape on and he won. So that might be something that he might have to take an IV before the game, Ocho, or at least at the half to make sure.
That was me. That was me, from September to the month of October, I got my IVs at halftime because I had to deal with those cramps. Most of the time they would come in the second quarter.
Yep.
So I religiously, September through October, I would always have to get cramps and I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait until it got cold because I knew once it got cold, no matter how much Pedialyte I drank, no matter how much water or Gatorade I drank, I always cramped up towards the end of the second quarter. So religiously, I had to go in there and get an IV at halftime. I know my trainers. I know they hated me for that. I would always leave the game maybe a minute, maybe 2 minutes if we didn't have the ball in the second quarter when the halftime was coming up and start my IV early. So when the third quarter happens, I was already finished.
I think the thing is, Ocho, is that I was the opposite. I cramped during the cold months, not during the summer, because I was going to drink. When I'm hot, I'm going to drink. When I'm cold, I ain't trying to drink nothing.
Okay.
So, Bobby, first of all, I said nightcap, obviously. Second thing, I don't know. Have you ever dealt with like massive cramps in your calves before?
Yeah, and I'm usually stupidly dehydrated and or drinking's involved.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
alcohol. Yeah.
I dealt with them. I would wake up in the middle of the night during my pregnancies. And it'd be in my calf and I'd wake up out of nowhere and they're like debilitating. Like, I'm just like, oh, and you try to like work it out and pull it out. Like it is a nightmare. So listen, it's like good to know that, other stars dealt with them too. But like, if this is an issue, like, is that like the follow-up question? Like, are you guys doing the IVs before the game or at halftime or whatever? Because you made a good point. He ran like 75 yards on that 19-yard rush and, he's running all over the place. So knowing that is something like going into halftime and taking IVs the way Chad Ochocinco needed to do, something that the Ravens may need to do with Lamar, because I don't want to hear again about cramps. Like, this is 2 games now. Let's not hear about this anymore.
Sure. Yeah. The 4th and 3 that never would have ever been debated had cramps not been involved. Right. So,
yeah. One other quick hit that I have in terms of a clip, I thought this is just always fun to debate. So Stephen A. Smith did his top 5 teams. I'll just tell you who they are right now, but they had quite a debate on the Baltimore. So he's got number 5, the Chargers. He put number 4, the Ravens, number 3, the Packers, number 2, the Bills, and number 1, Eagles. I have no problem with this top 2. Eagles are the defending Super Bowl champs. And, they beat the Cowboys. I don't know how good the Cowboys are going to be, but I don't fear them the way, they're not like a juggernaut like some other teams are. Bills just beat the Ravens. The Ravens easily could be number 2, but the Bills beat them, so no problem. But then they started arguing whether the Ravens should be number 3. So I just get the reaction on the other side.
Got them in number 5. They ain't number 4, please. Give it to me. Bam! Right there. The Baltimore Ravens. Now, I know they lost, but they dropped 40. And for 3.5 quarters, they looked like monsters. Derrick Henry was that dude. Lamar Jackson was that dude. Okay, Zay Flowers was that dude. They looked unstoppable. Fumble the ball, that kind of stuff happens. You collapse. John Harbaugh, you got to get that going. Gave up about 17 double-digit leads in your career now. Something's got to give. But the bottom line is this. When we look at the Baltimore Ravens, we can't sit up there and say that the team that we saw couldn't win it all. It was just the late season collapse, late game collapse. They'll get over that.
I actually would put, you know what? I actually would put the Ravens ahead of the Green Bay Packers.
Really?
I would have. Because for 3.75 quarters, they were the better team.
I wouldn't have done that.
Obviously not.
I'm gonna say this: 3.75 quarters that's not a game.
Equal-
I know I'm not the smartest mathematician, but I know that doesn't count. So
But if you
I would actually take Baltimore out, and I would make them 6, and I would put the Rams at 5 and the Chargers at 4.
No, that's silly.
Because here's what I'm going to tell you. This is what I'm going to tell you.
Rams?
This is what I'm just relax for a second. This is what I'm going to tell you. When you lose a game, there should be a penalty. You can't lose a game and stay in the top 4.
No.
You're
right. Okay, wait.
Oh man, I can't go with that logic. If you lose, you're automatically out of the top 5. You just lost by a point to the number 2 team. So I don't know, take any random person that beat what will be a bottom dweller. Does that mean that they're above the Ravens because they won? So not buying that logic, but I feel comfortable with number 4, Bobby. I mean, Packers looked pretty good last night. I also would be fine with number 3. This Ravens defense has me wondering, can the Ravens stay in the top 5 with this defense? We'll see. I really hope that they snap back sooner than later, but I feel like 3 or 4 is completely fair.
Well, they're going to have a chance to let everybody know where they feel like they should be in this top 5, because the Detroits are looming. The Kansas Cities are looming. Come December, the Green Bays are looming. 2 of those 3 opponents, Sarah, will be faced on the road. They'll go to Arrowhead. They'll go to Lambeau in December. So this is a first-place schedule for a reason. We're going to know exactly where they stack up over the next couple weeks, no doubt.
We for sure will.
We last-minute entries. Please get your last-minute entries in with the hashtag Vault. Leave a comment for us, and we will enter you into our giveaway. There's going to be 2 of them. We'll tell you what the second one is in just a bit. But, Sarah, before we pull those, DeBold 9474 will get caught up on Super Chats. He writes, hashtag Vault. Keep our foot on the gas. And Kieran, Sarah, for you.
Ronnie. Oh, so Kieran's, remember we said when Kieran said that Ronnie threw a forearm or something like that last week, and we were like, you sure that wasn't Derrick Henry? Clarifying here, Ronnie got to a cornerback on the touchdown screen pass to Zay, and I actually do remember that, and that was fun.
Nice, good for him.
Yeah.
The Bull says they will never get rid of Harbs, hashtag Vault. And Mark Anthony writes, not going to lie, Macta. Kind of something. Let me go. Hashtag match me. Looks like he's making a play right now for Macta. I don't know what's going on there, Mark Anthony. And E-Man Watts is celebrating 3 months of channel membership, and he gets his entry in, Sarah. You know what time it is. 2 drawings. Here's the first. Let me line it all up while you get that going, Sarah.
Okay.
Two different giveaways today. One is something we're going to be doing on select Purple Fridays throughout the year as a way of giving back and saying thanks to you guys. Okay, so if you participated over the last couple hours and used the hashtag Vault in a comment, you will now be entered in a minute here for our giveaway, a select t-shirt of your choosing, courtesy of the Vault Bot. Oh my gosh. The Vault Pod, can you tell it's Friday and I've spoken too much this week? thevaultpod.com/shop. You will have your choosing of a Vault t-shirt, our apparel line that we dropped over the summer. The second drawing, because nobody claimed our 2 freaking winner, Sarah, from Sunday night. I know it was really Monday morning, 2 a.m. We gave a reminder 24 hours ago now, 48 hours ago, for those 2 winners of our homage giveaway, which included a hoodie and 2 T-shirts. Neither one of those guys claimed it. So we're going to do 2 entries. First up, thevaultpod.com. Let's get it.
We will do that. We've got some fun super chats coming in. And Bobby, people are claiming you're a terrible wingman. You didn't help. I don't even know what he was saying, but he was looking for help and you didn't give it to him. So apparently you're a bad wingman now.
I'm the wingman. I just didn't know what was going on here. We got to see if Max is a willing participant. I didn't know whether to touch it. I wasn't sure what was going on. Mark Anthony, give me English, bro. I'll go to bat for you. All right. I'll go to the dark alley for you, Mark Anthony. I just got to know what your intentions are because I got to look out for my girl Magda too. All right.
There we go. That's right. Let's spin it that way. Hey, we got to make sure that this is all somebody worthy of matching up, you know? So
PHP just dropped a 50 spot. I'll go to the end of the earth for you, Mark Anthony. What the hell am I even talking about? I'll go to the end of the earth. All right. I'll be your guy. PHP says, Maravino. Don't question my wingmanhood. All right. Don't you do that. I'm going to go after it. If I know you got good intentions, I'm going to the end of the earth for you. I'll meet you in the alley and take care of business. Now, Magda, if you're not a willing participant, I got you. I'm just going to let you know. I'll put my wingmanhood up against anybody.
You really are attacking. That was hilarious. You are reacting as if they did attack your manhood. They attacked your wingmanhood, and you're not having it. Here we go. I did not know I was going to inspire that reaction by pointing that out. Let's draw a free, what is this? T-shirt from the vault. Here we go. That's the first drawing, and we want people claiming it in here. I'm not doing this again this week. We're like, hey, email us. I want to know that you're in here right now. You got to stay to the end of the show or you're out. Here we go.
Let a naysayer know. Run it.
Here we go. You better be in the chat right now. Who's going to win the free Vault T-shirt?
Oh,
Ray Dog, we tried.
Okay.
Did my mic go out?
Make sure you claim it now, Ray Dog. And here's what you got to choose from. Okay, T-shirts only. Couple different options for you, whether that might be the wheel or the vault on top. There's a couple more down here if you want to get something for the missus or a significant other. You name it. Lots to choose from. A T-shirt of your choosing, but you got to let us know. Come on now.
Where are you, Ray Dog?
Where is he at?
We got to see a comment from you. I hope you're not like behind in the show.
Come on, Ray Dog. Be there.
Okay,
and I'll tell you what,
Liv's
Sarah,
trying to help.
We can give him a minute by going to our second entry, right?
Okay.
We could do that, but we're still waiting for Ray Dog We Trust to enter himself in and claim this prize. Here he is. Everybody's tagging him, which is cool. Nice of you guys. At Ray Dog We Trust. Where you at? And with that, Sarah's going to write it down so we don't forget, and we're going to redraw, not for the first one, but for the homage giveaway. And this goes back to our post-game live stream that went unclaimed. Nobody claimed our homage giveaway. So we're going drawing number 2, and we're giving Ray Dog an opportunity here. Get his stuff together.
Okay, so this next drawing we're about to do is to replace the homage winners who disappeared at 2 a.m. We get it, but we gave you enough time. All right, so the homage deal is you get 2 T-shirts and a hoodie from homage. I got to tell you, I love the homage stuff. You got to go do it. So this drawing is for the homage winner. Here we go. This is always so exciting to me, watching these names go by.
We got Ray Dog. We got Ray Dog.
Ray Dog's in the house. Yes. Okay. Ray Dog.
And God
King is here.
You already know he's going to be here. God King gets the homage opportunity, and Ray Dog claims the VaultPod.com Purple Friday special. So, gentlemen, you guys know the drill by now, I'm sure. BaltimoreRavensVault at gmail.com. You can see it streaming on the ticker as of seconds ago. BaltimoreRavensVault at gmail.com. Here's what we need from you. 1, for Ray Dog. Let's go chronological here. Ray Dog, your T-shirt size, your T-shirt of choosing on the vaultpod.com/shop. You can send us a screenshot or the direct link to your T-shirt. We also need your shipping address. We will send it to you directly. And I think that's all we need from Ray Dog.
Yes.
Why don't you let God King know what we need from him?
God King, very similar drill. Send us an email with the t-shirts and hoodie you want from Homage. Give us the sizes and an address for it to be mailed. Okay. I think that's it. It's that simple. Just email us your info.
Yep.
And there's God King saying, I'm here.
Beautiful. All right, guys.
We got both of our winners here. And I feel like we should do this going forward. You got to stay to the end of the show for the drawing to win. Okay. That's how I feel about it.
All right, cool. Congratulations to you guys. If you could hit us up as soon as possible, we'll get this thing going before the weekend's over. Before the weekend begins, really. And there were a couple more super chats that came in since we went to our giveaways.
That's right.
Richard writes, the Packers will be our ultimate test this year, in my opinion. Can the offensive line hold up against the Packers defense? If they can, we will win the Super Bowl. Mark my words.
They will be a test. They got a lot of tests, but Green Bay is going to be one of them.
There's a bunch of dogs there. And this is what I gave the Mala Meatloaf for a few moments ago. PHP, Sarah, before things came to an end today on Friday, leads us into the weekend with some sentiments, a magenta screen, which means there's a $50 burger attached for you.
Boom! He says, I've been MIA. Work is working. It's time to cancel the noise. Folks who clean the toilets in Cleveland are bumping their gums. Good. Go in there Sunday, show them a real franchise, and drag all over these doo-doo chumps. 22 will have 175 plus yards. Hashtag 9-1. Hashtag no picks. PHP is back. You can't keep him down. You can't keep him down. You know that he had a lot of fire going to that Bills game. He was walking around, had his chest out, all of it. PHP is not putting his head down. He is back, and he's talking that talk.
Yes, he most certainly is. PHP, enjoy your weekend. Try and pry yourself away from work. Sounds like you're getting after it, nose to the grindstone. Richard takes exception and says, hold up, I'm the ultimate wingman.
But isn't he, though? Do we need to tell those stories for those that don't know it?
I
think he might be right.
I think you should tell your version of it because I'm very curious to see how much memory bank you have going right now.
How much memory bank do I have? Okay, so we're getting into Bachelor Bobby time, I guess, right here. Because Bobby, back last February for Valentine's Day, had no plans. So Osmodeus, a.k.a. Richard, or it's Richard, a.k.a. Osmodeus, comes in the chat. And Osmodeus, hopefully I'm characterizing him correctly, used to be or still partially is, has my same faith in the LDS faith. Sounds like he's backed away a little bit, but still goes there from time to time. So anyway, he invites you to go to what we call is a singles activity, meaning we have church congregations for singles only that want to go. Okay. And it ranges from like 18 to like 31 or something like that. Okay. And these singles events, Bobby, I loved them. I loved them when I was single. Shoot, I met my husband at church. This stuff works for sure. So he says, Bobby, why don't you meet me in DC? Osmodeus is down in Virginia. And he's like, Bobby, I got your back. So Bobby's like, sure, I've never met Richard in real life before, but I will drive down from Baltimore to Washington, D.C. to go to a religious event to which I've never been to before. I'm not a part of that religion. I guess I'm going to go try to date women of that religion. And Osmodeus took his time and met you there. And you guys were living it up at the LDS Singles Event Award, or Single LDS Valentine's Day event, where there is no alcohol, where there is just dancing and activities. And did you say that there was a trivia game? Maybe I can't remember, something like that.
Definitely. Wow. First of all, this is, speaking of surgical, this is about as surgical of a recounting as I've ever heard about you talking about my life. I mean, this is just exceptional stuff from you right now. Yeah, there was some sort of.
I can't remember people's names, but I can remember stories. I can remember like useless facts, but I can't remember people's names. I don't know why it's the one thing I can't remember, but I do have a pretty decent memory when I want it to be. So anyway, there was no match found, but Osmodeus went to the like end of the world for you practically here, Bobby. So I for sure, if I'm giving my rankings, we just did a top 5 team rankings. Ravens were number 4. I don't know who else wants to be in these rankings, but I definitely feel like I need to put Asmodeus above you in terms of the wingman category of who's number 1 and who's not.
Oh, the recall is so good. I mean, this is hysterical. The only thing that like I can critique about it is that I had met Richard twice or 3 times at a Be More Around Town tailgate that he would attended. But that's, I mean, it's such a small, insignificant part there. Like you just absolutely recounted that as thoroughly as you possibly could. And maybe, just maybe, it has something to do with how much run that got within your family of like entertainment value. Because I mean, yeah, it has everything to do with your faith. You know what those events are like. And I decided to stick my neck out there and go with Richard.
You did.
Just, a perfect storm. We had a blast. We had some great conversations with, I thought, some fun people, some cute people as well from an eligibility standpoint. So I would definitely do it again. Don't know when that's going to happen, but great job walking down memory lane there.
Well, you would go to an LDS singles activity again. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be Valentine's Day.
Yeah, certainly not. I would actually prefer it not to be. It's like an epic reminder.
What we need though is like, even though even though I'm not single, I feel like I need to be there with you. That's what I feel like.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
Because I feel like obviously I know my way around them, but I feel like I would also do I wasn't there. I don't know how good Richard was, but I feel like I'd do a good job of introducing you to great women.
Not to mention it'd make a one more thing episode for the ages if that
because Richard would be trying to flirt and look for somebody too. I'm not trying to do that. Obviously, I'm married. Yeah.
Right.
And so like I can give all the attention to just helping you out.
Oh, Richard was about finding the dance circles, trying to infiltrate the dance circle. And I loved that. Absolutely loved it from Richard. Just a cold-blooded killer out there. Jax Koa celebrating 6 months of channel membership. Appreciate you for being here today, JK. Eric Hill says, I will be back on Sunday and try again with my super chats. YouTube won't let me be great. He's still trying to dump money into the channel. Have a good weekend, everyone. I love you all. #6K for LJ. Eric, thank you so much for everything from this week. And I know it was a heavy one, of course. Eric shared yesterday, Sarah, on the 24th anniversary of 9/11, that his uncle was one of the main reasons and inspirations for him to pursue a career within the first responder world. And he shared a photo of his uncle on Ground Zero 24 years ago yesterday. So, Eric, thank you so much for the week that was. Brian was adding himself into the homage giveaway and unfortunately was not on the winning end of that. And Sarah, this one's another one from Eric Hill. I guess he was able to get.
He was not on his way out. Hey, Bojita, he says, a.k.a. Cougar Hunter. How many nicknames do we have for you? We've got Bobby Bachelor. We've got Bojita. We've got Cougar Hunter. It started with Bobby Baltimore. You're now Bobby St. Pete. There's just so many here. Okay. He says, hey, Bojita, a.k.a. Cougar Hunter. What's the update on the Cougar? Hey, have you given an update publicly yet? I got an update behind the scenes.
Why don't we do this? We finally have a chance to breathe. I'll just give you a quick little rundown here on all things love life so we can be fully caught up to speed. And needless to say, for the Gregory Lees of the world in the live chat, the football content's over. Yeah. I matched with a 52-year-old, as Eric is noting here. Her name was not Cougar Hunter, but I think she's been labeled as such, or perhaps I'm the Cougar Hunter.
No, you're the Cougar Hunter because she would have been the Cougar in this situation.
Yes. And I decided to be direct once I did get settled here and say, do we want to address the elephant in the room? That's what I texted her about our ages and what our values are, or I should say intentions are at this point in our respective lives. And when I told her that I would love to have a family, she said, as you'd expect, as somebody who already has kids and is north of 50, she doesn't want to have a family anymore. Sarah, as you, again, would not be surprised by. So we decided that we would go our separate ways without a meetup. I know, much to many of your disappointments, there is no meetup with the Cougar. I did, however, last week welcome in my friend Alyssa, my hinge match from New Orleans, who I matched with when I was covering the Super Bowl for us, Sarah, back in February. We had chatted and FaceTimed periodically since then, and she was cool enough and I guess brave enough to board a flight and come spend 2 nights with me in St. Pete, my first weekend. We had a blast. I thought she was awesome. She is taller than me by a centimeter or two. She is 104. She's an occupational therapist. She went to, I'm not going to get too into the weeds here, but she's a New Orleans native, still lives there, went to college there. I think really very, very highly of her, and we had a freaking blast. I have no idea where that's going to go. Obviously, geography is not on our side, but that was a really fun first weekend and something that was, I would say, a long time coming, being that we literally matched in February. So that was fun. Aside from that, I've been on 2 dates in St. Pete aside from that, and I haven't even been here 2 weeks yet, so I feel like that's been decent. It's been hard to fit them in. I went on a sweat walk in Tampa, which was cool, 4.5 miles on Bayshore Boulevard with a girl named Tori, who's my sister's name, which was funny, but she was pretty cool. I actually met her in person in March when I did my remote month here. She's fun. She works for one of the big 4 in downtown Tampa, originally from Penn State, went to PSU, or excuse me, originally from PA, went to Penn State. I thought that was cool. There'll be a second. And then I went to dinner at a Spanish tapas type restaurant in downtown St. Pete with a Chicago native. The first week that I was here, we're looking to get together at some point in the near future. So other than that, we've been kind of nose to the grindstone, as a lot of us have seen. But I think that's a really long-winded way of saying that I'm taking advantage of the vibrant neighborhood and vibrant area, which was one of the main motivations to get down here in the first place. And that gets you fully caught up to speed.
Bobby, there's so much to say here. Okay, number one, I just want to say I'm disappointed that no mentorship developed out of that first one, but I will move on from that.
You were calling for that.
Number two, I think it says a whole lot that somebody flew in. Okay, I got it wrong on Richard. Have you guys met before in person before she flew in? You said her name was Alyssa?
I had not met her before. No.
You had not met her before. And she came out, flew out, and met you.
Yeah.
That says a lot. Have you guys been chatting via, what'd you say, Hinge since she left?
Well, since February, we were on iMessage, and then we tried to link up, but I had already been wheels up to get back to Baltimore. We literally matched at the end of my time there. Because you remember, I went on a couple of dates as it was with a different girl from New Orleans who was just there visiting, or I should say was doing like a travel program. And she and I went out for a couple dates, and then that went south. She just wasn't interested in like continuing the long distance thing or whatever, or continuing to see it through. Whereas Alyssa and I matched at the last day. And so I was wheels up. I told her that from the jump. Hey, I don't live here. I live in Baltimore. And to her credit, and I guess to our credit, we literally stayed in touch from that point up until today. We're still chatting. I think we both have an interest in one another. It's just we both have ridiculously insane falls. I'm obviously in season mode. I don't have a lot of coverage for Tilly, being that I'm new to the area in St. Pete. And so we're just kind of trying to figure that out. I'm sure there'll be a conversation had at some point. But no, we had not met prior to.
Okay, you had not met prior, and you have been communicating since she left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So there's that. Then on top of it, you said you've been on 2 other dates?
2 other dates. And as you ask questions, I don't think she'll mind. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up a little selfie that Alyssa and I took just to give you guys a visual in St. Pete.
Oh, we're gonna get a picture.
Why the heck not, right? Why not?
As long as you think that she's cool with it.
Yeah, I think this will be all right. I don't know. What do you think? Should I not?
I don't know. And you know her better than me. I mean, if I went on one date with somebody, maybe I wouldn't want to, but you got to feel for her personality and all that more than I do. So
yeah, I think she'd find
judgment call on your end.
I think she'd find it entertaining. Hopefully you guys don't do anything weird out there.
Sheilah's telling you not to do it. Lewis is saying do it. We got an argument here.
Just be good, Vault. Don't, like Lamar said to the fan base, don't make me look bad, right? How about that? Yeah, no other information. This is just a quick little snippet from our weekend.
Oh,
St. Pete in the background. I think she's super cute.
You guys are super cute together. Look at that.
I don't know why.
Look at that fall Florida sunset over the water. That looks like it was a good evening.
Yeah, it was. It was beautiful. This is at the St. Pete Pier, new area. I think she's super cute. I think very highly of her, and I think it's mutual. I don't think she'd continue to do the outreach that she's been doing the last couple days, if not. But yeah, that was my date.
How long have you been in St. Pete?
Today's Friday. You and I took off leading into Labor Day weekend, which was 2 weeks ago, and I left and started my drive to Baltimore for the first leg a week ago today. Or excuse me, 2 weeks ago today.
So 2 weeks. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
listen, one of the reasons why you moved down there is so that you could, like you've been very open, like what your goal is, like you want to share your life with somebody. And so you feel like where you've been geographically hasn't been helpful. And so it seems like you are meeting people and putting yourself out there. So that's really good news. And I'm happy that you had a great time with Alyssa. And it just sounds like you're able to be meeting people, which is exactly what one of your goals was moving down there.
I could tell you with confidence too, if we lived in the same area, I think it'd be pretty simple that there would be, I don't want to say like a full-fledged relationship, because when you've only spent, one time, if you will, with somebody, you don't want to go that far. But at the same time, it's not really one time. I mean, we spent 48 hours together. We slept in the same bed. I was going to sleep in the couch. We ended up sleeping on the same bed. We won't get into that, but but what are you going to do? I mean, it was a very close weekend. It's not a first date. It didn't feel like a first date, I think is the right way of putting it. I picked her up from the airport. I dropped her off from the airport. This place is tight when I'm living in right here. I mean, you guys probably, some of you have seen it on my Instagram. I've put it up. I mean, this is a pretty tight. Matter of fact, you want me to just quickly show you the spot?
Sure. You're sharing everything.
We're down a freaking rabbit hole right now. There's no going back. I'm an open book. I think you guys have realized that by now.
Yeah.
But I've been documenting some of this on Instagram since I got down here, and I put up an Instagram reel that sort of put it all together. And this was sort of my last several months. I rented a storage space. I want to say thanks to Morningstar Storage in Canton, right near Canton Crossing. For those of you that know the Baltimore area, I put all my stuff, my belongings that couldn't fit into the Bronco, Sarah, into storage. I spent my summer in upstate New York. Tilly and I did the drive in a couple different legs, and here I am. It's essentially a renovated garage that looks nothing like a garage, if you will. It's like a mother-in-law suite that's detached from the property. There's my first Publix run. There's the St. Pete Pier with Tilly. There, she and I are on the wraparound couch getting this place all situated. Nice finished cabinets and counters. There's the makeshift studio, my little living room right there. Small bedroom, but it gets the job done. Full bed, walk-in shower, closet space that's pretty useful. And this is kind of like my one bedroom suite, if you will. So yeah.
You do not waste a second of the day. I've definitely learned that about you over the last 3+ years. Like, I just can't believe how much you've accomplished in 2 weeks. Like driving down from upstate New York, getting down there. We've been doing a gazillion shows. You've had even more shows than what we've done together with the collective and your personal channel. And then also you're meeting people out there, like you're being social. So it's not like you're just like, in the house stuck at your computer doing nothing. Like you don't waste a second of the day. And as I've said before, you have a hunger for life. And I think all of this illustrates that again.
That's why we work so well together. We are cut from the same cloth. And man, Mom talks about giving her the feels. In this video, giving her the feels. This comment gave me the feels. You guys know that my mom means everything to me. And I spent my 3 months in upstate New York strategically pouring my heart and soul and the monetary side of things into her house, which, by the way, I want to proudly say that those projects came to an end yesterday, Sarah. 18 to 20 yards of topsoil was dropped off at my childhood home where my mom lives alone. And the overhaul of our yard is underway. Every 15 minutes, you got to water that thing multiple times a day. I think it's for 15 minutes, twice a day, once in the morning, once at night. And we are completely overhauling the grass. I can't wait to see what it looks like. And you guys know, for those of you that follow along on our One More Things during the non-busy times of the summer, that was what my main goal was for the summer. So in upstate New York where I grew up. So,
Bobby, a lot of super chats have been piling in since we've turned to the Bobby Bachelor segment, which maybe we need to do on Fridays. I don't know.
This is Eric's fault. This is the comment that sent us down this rabbit hole. But I got to tell you, Sarah,
I didn't even finish reading it.
I got to tell you, Sarah, I've been thinking about it a lot the last couple of weeks of like just how busy you and I have been. And as we've been busier and busier, it's been like adding up in terms of what we haven't shared or what I haven't shared. Even with you, I feel like a lot of that was new to you, because we just haven't had that much time between shows and how long the vault's been going and everything we've been doing. So thanks to Eric for inspiring a friggin' segment and a half. But you're right. Why don't you read where you left off?
He said, just curious. Anyways, the Ravens are going to win this week. #91, #Cougar Hunter.
PHP is still here, and he says, head down. Sarah, I told them I still owned the city after the loss, and no one told me different, referring to Buffalo.
Yeah.
That would never happen at M&T. Soft city and franchise, referring to his Bills. Or not his Bills, but his Bills as the enemy. Richard says you're forgetting Madison. And, of course, Madison was the pregame tailgate. What do I want to call this? I guess potential
last-minute guests.
Love interest.
You put up a headline, pulled that out of your tailgate live, and you put up a headline that said, "Did I just meet my future wife?"
Madison is happily in a relationship down in Nashville, so hopefully she's doing well. Nothing to forget there. I thought it was fun, and we chatted for a little bit and realized that geographical inconvenience wasn't going to work. Dre Dog says, I gave Bobby a wingman hookup from an Uber. Yes, you did.
Yes. Okay, so now I have to you now have been pushed down to number 3 in terms of wingman. Maybe you have stories that I just don't know, but Dre Dog, he's up there with Osmodeus when it comes to being a wingman.
Yeah,
I still got to put Richard number 1 though.
And this hookup, which never was a hookup, just to be clear, followed me on Instagram. I followed her back. We exchanged a few DMs about where we're at and what we're doing. And she's just getting to Baltimore for a travel assignment. And I am not in Baltimore. I will be next weekend for Monday Night Football, but I am not there for the foreseeable future. So unfortunately, that's the reason why I didn't actually see that through. But Dre's the man for that. I'll always appreciate that story. Park Heights Profit, Sarah, for you.
Says Bobby, fly him out.
I got you. Bobby, fly him out. Bobby Breakneck Bacheloring. I'm sure there's a lot of meaning to that. Danny G23. We'll keep it moving. Watched yesterday's show this morning, Bobby. You forgot about Ed Reed. Bruh. You guys really help these days go by faster. Love the fam. #Vault. And I think he's probably referring to how I called Kyle Hamilton a unicorn to Terrell Suggs. And I said, how'd you like to play with a unicorn like that? And it was a touche moment where I got to tip my cap. Sis came back and said, and you got to go watch this in full, guys, because it was pretty funny. Sis goes, I already played with a unicorn. And then went on to give Kyle his flowers, Sarah, and said that he feels strongly that he could have played with him, meaning Kyle could have hung in the Sizzle era, which is that like the highest compliment you can get from a guy like Sis?
Seriously. Yeah. He would have fit in with those iconic defenses. How, and it's nice to hear it from one of the icons himself.
I'm looking ahead and smiling already. You take this one from Mixed to Cutie.
Oh boy. You want me to read it?
Absolutely.
Okay. This is definitely, maybe I shouldn't characterize it. There's just a online history, I feel like, in this show with Minx to Cutie and Bobby. Bobby always blushes when Minx to Cutie is in the chat. So Minx to Cutie writes, let's be clear. I am the original Cougar crush with smiley emojis and a lot of red lipstick kiss emojis.
Weren't you ever, Minx? And you will always hold that title in my mind. Yeah, I'm never letting you give up that title. That's the one. It's a self-imposed title, but it's one that I agree with. You were the original Cougar. And you want to know why it was self-imposed? Because I didn't know how old you were or are. I still don't know. So I'm never going to throw that attached to somebody just in case. Dreams writes, as someone who's in a long-distance relationship, you can make it work with Alyssa, Mr. Trossett. Thank you for weighing in, Queon. Park Heights Prophet is back, Sarah.
He says, Bobby's about to get that. Okay. Bobby's about to get that "we need to talk" text, meaning from Alyssa.
I hope not. I don't think she watches, but if she does and she doesn't want me to share that, I apologize. Richard says, ironically enough, I matched with a girl in Tampa with a thinking emoji.
Hey, now this is your chance to repay the wingman. So Richard could come in, right, to Tampa, and you could help out.
Interesting development here. Richard, do tell. You know my number. Eric Hill says, guilty as charged. Brian Me writes, end zones look so cool this weekend. Wish they would replicate the font on a jersey as a throwback. And it looks like the Ravens have just released what the end zones look like. And I'll pull that up real quick. This is a pretty cool shot. Again, forevermore is what they're celebrating, Sarah. It's the 30th anniversary. There's going to be legends of the game all over the place for this one at home. It's a week 2, 1 o'clock kickoff at the bank. And this, courtesy of Ravens Productions, which is what Bry is referring to.
Yeah, that's definitely the old school Memorial Stadium look, from what they had in the stadium. And that looks cool. That definitely looks cool. I'm trying to remember back to the copyright dispute that they had legally, and then they had to change their logo, but I don't think it has that the birdie logo. So maybe this is fine to do this. Man, that's awesome. I like this look going in for the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, me too. And hopefully when they get kicked back, that highlighted Mo in Baltimore for Mo Gabba, the late great Mo Gabba, hopefully they'll revisit that. I don't know why they wouldn't, because they've done it the last couple of years. So
yeah,
pretty cool little twist there and a wrinkle.
You think it's staying for the whole season?
I wonder. Also, we couldn't see technically on the other side there if the MO, I just can't tell if it doesn't look like it's highlighted on the opposite end of what we were looking at. But nonetheless, this is a throwback end zone.
Yeah.
For the 30th.
On the other end zone, it's got the old school, just Baltimore in that old school font.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't appear to be highlighted there. But I would think it's probably a one game thing, since they're sort of labeling this what it is and have put this kind of energy and planning into one game and this celebration. But we'll see.
Okay.
Well done by them and their team. Eric writes, to think about it, I may need a wingman or two. Oh, boy. Oh, dear. Eric says, to think about it, I may need a wingman or two soon. Not sure if that's suggesting what's happening at home there, but Eric, we appreciate you. Hopefully is all is well back in your side of things. Partner, great week. Weathered the storm. A lot of content this week, not only today, but all week long. Dre Dog is inviting Minx to Cutie to Augusta. He's in Columbia, South Carolina. That's halfway. Dre Dog letting him know. Hey, wait a second now. What if I said Minx was mine, Dre? Huh?
Well, I think Minx has some say in all of this.
I know. How could I say that about who made that play earlier on in the show that I was commenting on? Oh, God. Touche. Sarah? Great
Bobby?
week.
It was a great week. Nice to have some fun at the end of it.
Yep. That's the update, guys, on me. I will say I'm looking forward to attending my first game in a non-press box form on U.S. soil for the Ravens. It's Monday Night Football, and I will get out of there with enough time, Sarah, of course, to start our We of the Hour post-game show.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to my friend Jason, too, for club-level tickets. Looking forward to that.
You got another super chat here.
Yeah, you got a girl. Bobby, you got a girl. Calm down. Yeah. Are you talking about Minx? Or the Cougar?
Yeah.
Or Alyssa?
Because
here's the deal. Maybe some of you are like, well, why are you dating if you had Alyssa come? That conversation just hasn't been had. I want to be clear. If Alyssa and I were exclusive, which we aren't, I obviously wouldn't be going on these other first dates. So there is no girl right now. I'm just kind of making my way into the St. Pete scene and taking my time. And as John Harbaugh once said, casting a wide net. That's what we're doing.
I love it.
So that's my update. All right.
We appreciate the update. You're right. We haven't had one in a while, so it was good to get caught up.
Yep. And thanks to all of you guys for participating and coming in hot this week. It was a fun one. and it will continue to be a fun weekend. I will have pregame show coverage on Sunday. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff, so look for that somewhere around 11 or noon. And Sarah and I, of course, will typically start the postgame show in that 4:30, 5 o'clock window, somewhere around there. So if you could, on the way out, please like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. Thanks to those of you who participated. We've already heard from God King, and we've heard from somebody else as well. So not our other winner.
Ray.
We still
Ray
need to
Dog, we trust. We've heard from both of them.
We have?
Or at least in here. I don't know if we've gotten emails yet.
Yeah, only God King. So needless to say, Ray Dog, we trust. BaltimoreRavensVault at gmail.com. Hit us up. We'd love to get you all set. And we've already heard from God King, so we'll make sure that he gets put in touch with by the right people at Homage. So with that, thank you guys for an awesome week. We'll catch up with you on Sunday. I'll have a live coming up in the next couple hours. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett, signing off from this Friday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. We appreciate you, Vaultrons, for spending some time with us here inside the vault, and we will catch up with you soon. Talk to you.